With most fighting game characters, you have normals, specials, and supers. You use them to good effect, and you win. These tools obviously vary, and every character uses them to a different effect, be it for rushdown, zoning, or being an all-rounder with multiple talents. There are thousands and thousands of characters with different unique kits, but today I want to talk about a specific subset of character who put a fun little twist on the journey of winning matches. It's pretty obvious from a glance how much anime and manga have influenced numerous different fighting games, and what's more anime than a character getting stronger and powering up over the course of a fight. A lot of characters do this through the use of installs, which are supers that will temporarily buff your character, such as Dante and Virgil Devil Trigger in Marvel 3, or Golden Frieza in Dragon Ball FighterZ. What I want to talk about though are characters who can accumulate incremental, usually permanent power-ups through the course of a match to continually get stronger. Power-up characters, as I like to call them. The act of adding even more conditions for a character to win has resulted in lots of cool character designs, so today, I'm going to be looking at some of them. And up first, we have one of Street Fighter's newest, Jamie. Debuting in SF6, some consider him Luke's rival, others consider him Luke's lover, and he brings an undeniable amount of swagger into Street Fighter along with the level up system that is integral to his success. Jamie's game plan is all about using his quick attacks to get in and harass the opponent with as many up-close offensive options. To that end, he has tons of very strong neutral buttons and a great drive rush. His 2MK and 5MK both make for fantastic pokes at long ranges, especially since he can buffer a drive rush behind them to get in. His 5MP is plus on block without needing drive rush at all, and of course, there's the infamous 5HP, easily one of the most annoying buttons in the game. It's a 5-frame button that hits 3 times, which gives it the ability to break drive impact armor, and it gives a combo on hit. When combined with Drive Rush, this becomes a very annoying and belligerent option for Jamie to get in as it becomes plus on block, and it's harder than it looks to check, even with the proper spacing. His arsenal of specials is really nothing to write home about. Jamie comes equipped with a Rekka Friend in combos or block strings, a DP that works, but tends to whiff if done too early due to the low arc that the hitbox assumes during the animation, and the palm. Like with Drive Rush 5HP, this is a really silly neutral tool that you can use to harass people. I'm pretty sure it's written down somewhere that it's Jamie tradition during a set to do at least one round start EX palm. He also has a really great throw which gives him fantastic okizeme, a command overhead which is always good in a game where Drive Rush lets characters combo off of command overheads, and a really good sweep. Altogether, he's nothing special, but this is of course only taking into account his base level moves, so let's get into Jamie's power-ups. Jamie's level up resource is drinks. He has a variety of ways to increase his drink level, and each level provides him with new tricks. The most conventional way for Jamie to level up is with 22P, the devil inside. This move has Jamie take a quick swig of his special herbal tea for 1 drink level. You can hold down the button to add more levels, but unless your opponent literally falls asleep, there's no way you're going to get more than 1 or maybe 2 off of 22P in most situations. Even just getting 1 drink off of this move can be risky, as you're liable to get punished if the opponent can react to it, and his drink level won't increase if the animation doesn't finish, so save it for knockdowns or situations where you know you can get away with it. Jamie also has an alternative version of his Rekka which ends with a drink, a target combo off his sweep which lets him get a drink, and he can hold the button down during his throw for an extra level, all coming at the cost of less frame advantage after the knockdown. So he has plenty of ways to get his drinkies, but what exactly does drinking let Jamie do? Jamie's drink level goes up to 4, and with each drink level he gets new target combos and special moves. At drink level 1, Jamie gains access to Luminous Dive Kick, a fitting move for a character who prides himself on following in the footsteps of Yun, who was infamous for having maybe the most degenerate dive kick ever to grace Street Fighter. I realize the comparison to Yun may be horrifying to people who played SF3 and SF4 and have never been exposed to Jamie, but rest assured, Jamie dive kick is nowhere near as good as Yun's was in those games. It does pretty much everything you need a dive kick to do. It's strong against lows and throws, crushing both as well as projectiles, and as a pressure tool, it shines when properly spaced, allowing Jamie to make himself +1 on block. The reward on hit is generally mediocre though, since it launches. Unlike Cammy, who gets meterless grounded combos, Jamie is relegated to juggles which really only net solid damage with drive or super meter. Also be wary of the massive extended hurt box. At level 2, Jamie obtains Bakai, a slow to start breakdance. This special acts primarily as a strong super cancel option. It does very high damage, so it's an ideal combo ender if you want to spend your cash. It's also an anti-fireball tool, albeit a very slow one. Once again comparing Jamie to Cammy, her heavy spin knuckle is a little slower than heavy Bakai, but also travels way faster. It's a little tough to use on reaction against fast fireballs like sonic booms, and on slower fireballs you might mistime it and end up getting hit by the projectile once your projectile invul runs out. It does make for a great tool against slow set play projectiles like Rashid and Ed's level 2 supers. Drink level 3 lets Jamie use Tension, which is a command throw, a terrifying tool for any character. Again with the parallels to Yun and Yang, it does 0 damage, but Jamie can combo off of this command throw. But again, Capcom did show restraint. Off the meterless version, you're not getting much as it doesn't have that much frame advantage, but you can still easily go into a knockdown, which is very strong. Spend your drive meter on the EX version and Jamie easily gets a much better combo, making this a very strong tool. Finally, we have Drink Level 4, where Jamie lets his hair down and basically becomes Jesus. Maybe an exaggeration? Maybe not. In Drink Level 4, on top of new target combos and a very powerful upgrade to his Rekkas, he gains access to Swagger Hermit Punch, a follow-up to the Palm that grants higher combo damage still. Besides all these fancy specials, the other main benefit of drinking is increased range on certain normals and higher damage scaling. So, this is the fundamental game plan with Jamie. Get drinks, and get wins. The big problem Jamie faces in the heat of battle is that he is often forced to decide between pressing his advantage or giving it up to drink. Drinks are very important to Jamie, not just because of how many tools are locked behind it, but also because of the damage problem. With no drinks, he starts at damage scaling of 90% and he needs to get to level 2 to get standard scaling of 100%, which makes level 0 Jamie much weaker than the rest of the cast. However, getting drinks often requires Jamie to sacrifice his Okizeme, which risks his opponent returning to neutral and forcing him to work to get another knockdown. Sure, you can just prioritize getting drinks instead of maintaining offense, but you're also just giving your opponent more chances to put you on the back foot. SF6 is a heavily momentum-based game with very high damage, especially off of punishes, so this is something you really don't want to do. He does have one way to access his full drink levels very fast, which is his level 2 super. It's an install that temporarily gives him access to basically every benefit of drink level 4 other than the long hair. It's a solid super right now, but it wasn't always that way. In fact, the super used to be ass. In the current version of the game, once the install ends, Jamie will return to whatever drink level he was at before activating. This wasn't always the case though. From the beta up until the post-Capcom Cup patch, this super worked exactly the same, except it reset his drink count upon ending unless he was already at drink level 4, where using this super was basically pointless. Essentially, using it meant undoing all your hard work and going back to drink level 0, which isn't ideal, and I'm glad they changed it. Jamie's been considered on the lower end of the roster basically since the game launched, and the biggest reason for this is the fact that he has to work so hard to become a real character. He starts at a deficit that no other character really has to deal with, which means losing momentum hurts him even more than lots of other characters on the roster. However, in saying that, it can also be twisted into arguably his biggest strength, which is his snowball potential. Jamie can mount massive comebacks if he manages to get his drink on, and it's worth doing since he becomes so strong with a high drink level. Ultimately, it's a game of risk-reward that everyone plays differently, especially because of how difficult it can be to drink in certain matchups. It's worth noting that Jamie's drinks do not carry over between rounds. Even at drink level 4, Jamie will be reset to 0 in the next round, something almost every Jamie player I've seen agrees is a good thing. You can make an interesting parallel between Jamie and another power-up character on the roster, Manon. Manon's resource is medals that she gains every time she lands a command throw or hit grab, and unlike Jamie, she keeps these medals permanently for the rest of the match. You could argue it's not fair for Jamie, but I think it's a sensible decision when you compare what these two characters gain from their level up systems. SF6's patch cycle is obviously far from over, so I'm curious to see how Capcom handles balancing Jamie, as he's the kind of character where just one slightly overtuned improvement to the process of getting drinks and levels could make him very oppressive. We'll just have to wait to see what they have in store for Mr. Top Player. Hey, he may not be that great, but at least he can relish in having the best character theme by far in SF6. Susano'o is a character who plays exactly how he looks. He's a big dog with big buttons and big damage. Susan sports excellent buttons with fantastic range and frame data, with multiple plus on block normals, notably his amazing 6B which is plus 4 on block. He sports amazing stagger pressure, and he's a great character if you just like bullying the shit out of people with plus frames. Susan pressure is nigh unbeatable if you don't know how to instant block, so you better learn. He also possesses very high damage and high health. So yeah, he's a fucking gorilla through and through, but that fancy green bar above his meter is the real attraction. In Blazblue, every character's D is a unique attack that usually plays into the gimmick that defines their game plan, and for Susan it's no different. Divine Warrior is the basis of his win condition. You see, he has multiple special moves, but begins every round with only one unlocked, Sundering Claws. It's a standard combo and block string ender, and solid enough in its own right. The rest of Susan's kit has to be unlocked through his drive. Anytime Susan uses 4D or hits with 5D, 6D, 2D, or JD on a locked seal, that seal will unlock and give him access to that special move. He has 7 specials in total that he must obtain, many of which are vital tools for his defense, pressure, and mix-ups. First up is Towering Flame, 623C, which is Susan's DP, and an incredible one at that, sporting a massive hitbox that hits behind and in front of Susan, so good luck crossing this fool up. It can be rapid cancelled, allowing you to combo off of it or make it safe on block, and it's pretty fast too, a frightening tool overall. Seal number 3 is Megalith, a pretty slow ground wave. It's got slow startup but solid range, and it's plus on block, making it a good pressure extender. The fourth seal is 214B, Hunter's Fang, a spin dash he can use on the ground and in the air. It hits overhead and it's a great way for Susan to convert off of air-to-air hits. In addition to unlocking specials, Susan can use his D to upgrade certain special moves 1 or 2 times. Hunter's Fang is one that's particularly strong when upgraded, as it generates a massive projectile that, if spaced properly, can be made very plus on block, as if he needed another plus move. Seal number 5 is Dancing Dual Kick, 236B. This is a fantastic special for combo extension as it launches on hit. It allows Susan to unlock multiple seals in one combo, which is very strong. It's a full screen dive that hits low, not very practical for mix-ups due to the slow startup, and it is very unsafe. But hey, throwing out a silly full screen move like this once in a while never hurt anyone. The sixth seal is Inevitable Calamity, which is a mash move similar to the old Honda Hands input. Funnily enough, this is Susan's fastest move, even faster than his 7-frame 5A. Obviously the input means it isn't very practical for a Bari despite the speed. This special generates a multi-hitting orb in Susan's hand that absorbs projectiles. Also, it does mad chip damage. Unfortunately, its utilities are kinda limited by the awkward input. You can cancel the orb early by hitting BCD at the same time. The seventh seal is Splintering Thrust, a command throw with massive reach. It travels nearly full screen and does solid damage, and you can combo off of it with rapid cancel. The horrendous startup can make it seem unappealing, but this character has such scary pressure already, so it isn't the worst option to throw out. Just don't overdo it. Finally, we have Blade of Judgment, the 8th and final seal, and maybe the best one. It's a massive horizontal sword slash that makes whiff punishes very easy for Susan, and it wall bounces on counter hits, giving Susan very good reward for punishing hapless players. If you think you can just press buttons when that seal is unlocked, think again. Susan's versatility improves tremendously when he starts unlocking seals, but of course, he does need to play the game without the majority of them at the offset, which can be tough, but there is one thing that makes it a little less strenuous. While all of his seals besides the first do need to be unlocked, Susan can unlock them in any order he pleases. Any attack of Susan's that's blocked or hit will cause the cursor to appear on the first seal, and every subsequent hit will move it forward until it loops back to the first. Susan players will need to be ready to learn different combos or block strings to assure they have a way to gain access to any seal at any given moment. Once he uses his D and unlocks a seal or powers up an already present one, the cursor will vanish and the process resets until every special of his has been unlocked and fully powered up. The control he has over the way he unlocks his specials gives him many different ways to tackle the many matchups he's faced with, which is definitely something he appreciates. Despite this flexibility, there's still some challenge in the process, as certain seals are located farther away on the bar and will require a bit more finesse to unlock, so how you tackle playing Susan all depends on which seals you want to prioritize gaining access to first. With all of his seals in hand, Susan is an absolute monster with answers to pretty much any obstacle. Every seal Susan unlocks will also power up his super, Strike of the Possessed God. Just like with Jamie level 2, Susan has multiple ways to fast track the process of gaining his specials. Overdrives are installs which power up characters in Blazblue, and Susan's gives him access to all his specials during the allotted time, all at their highest level. In addition, he has a super that's exclusive to Overdrive, which will allow him to keep all these unlocked even after the Overdrive ends. Susan's seal progress resets after the end of a round, so using this is kind of ill-advised as it's a massive resource dump. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Once the round is over, those seals are gone, bitch, so make the most of them. Thankfully, while Susan definitely gets much stronger with his many powerful special moves in hand, his base kit is strong enough for the big guy to pose an active threat, and he doesn't have much trouble getting the ball rolling on those seals and becoming an absolute god who strikes fear into even the most seasoned players. JoJo Heritage for the Future is chock full of so many unique and inventive character designs, something I've spent literal hours of my life detailing and praising the game for. Among these great designs, one that stands out, maybe for the wrong reasons, is Mariah. Mariah is the oldest character featured in this video and likely one of the first characters to ever feature this kind of power-up system. She's often considered one of, if not the worst character in the game, in part because of the fact that she's a zoner with strong Okizeme in a game where almost half the roster can enter a mode where they become immune to chip damage and knockdowns, but the other is her level up system really only serving to force her to work harder to suck a little less. Mariah, as mentioned, is a zoner with specials suited to screen control, which can make her quite annoying to fight. She possesses a set of quite decent normals that lets her do some baby damage up close, and an amazing 5C and 4B to keep opponents at bay. She has 3 specials. 236X fires out a bunch of homing projectiles, and 214X is a wire that traps the opponent on hit and allows for a combo, but the big moneymaker of her kit is the cable. It's an insanely annoying tool that locks the opponent down for a very long time, dominating the screen in front of her. Just be careful because certain attacks can cut it down. Her 2 supers are the Titty Bolts, which are a series of projectiles with high damage and large screen coverage, and Iron Crush. This super is an extremely strong combo ender that can loop into itself in certain situations, making it probably her best tool along with the cable. Mariah is a passive stand character, which, to sum it up, means that she sucks, but she does indeed have a level up system. It's tied to her S button. With 5S, 6S, 4S, JS, or 2S, Mariah can set down an outlet on the screen. It's a small floating trap that's extremely obstructive, especially since Mariah can, on a whim, replace one that's already set down with another at a different position. It's very easy to run into them or be pushed into them, and Mariah can special cancel her normals into outlets too. They won't combo, but they will hit people who are mashing. Mariah begins every game at level 1 and her level goes up to 8, but thankfully her levels will remain consistent between rounds. Once you make it to level 8, you're there forever. Theoretically. The primary benefit of leveling up is massive improvements to the properties of her specials and supers. The speed of the items she throws with 236X becomes much faster and their homing improves as well, making these a very annoying and spammable tool at full screen. For 214X, the wire, being leveled up improves the range of activation. At level 1, you damn well need to be right in the opponent's face for this thing to fire off, but at level 8, depending on the size of the stage you're in, it'll practically activate at full screen. At level 8, the cable does more hits, which improves the already incredible Oki it provides and makes getting hit by it much more punishing. Her supers receive improved damage as well, with the Titty Bolts firing off way more projectiles. Doesn't really fix that it's not a great full screen option against stand-on characters, but it's something. Level 8 Mariah is a much bigger threat due to her projectiles becoming way more of a nuisance, but she doesn't ever graduate past being irritating, as level 8 Mariah's kit is still subpar compared to most of the cast, and having to spend time leveling up just to get there is a massive issue in of itself. It doesn't help that Mariah can be leveled down, and not in the Jamie and Susano'o way where she loses her power-ups at the start of a new round. No, I mean the opponent can actively take away her levels. If Mariah is thrown, she loses a level. This happens if the throw goes through, but it also happens if she breaks the throw. Even on a successful throw tech, you still lose 1 level, which is so funny and fucking evil that I just have to assume the developers made it that way on purpose. It's very easy for Mariah to lose levels, especially with how many characters in this game have very strong throws, and her improved specials and supers ultimately don't plug up any holes in her kit. She may be bad, but hey, it's cool that Capcom created such a cool and unique character in one of their earlier games. Yeah, that's all I got. Sorry, Mariah players. If you want a viable waifu in this game, just play Midler. Oh yeah, by the way, I also have an individual video on Mariah as a whole, so watch it if you want more detail on why she's not that good. This next character hails from Soul Calibur 6. I'm honestly surprised this game has this kind of character. I'd always kinda just assumed these gimmicks weren't common in Soul Calibur. I don't have much experience with this franchise though, so that may just be me being ignorant. Or an idiot. Or both. That being said, Amy. She's a power-up character just like everyone else in this video and uses a system that allows her to amplify her offensive and defensive capabilities. Amy as a base is pretty strong, sporting good mobility and mix. Since she's got a fairly short-ranged weapon, she mainly wants to use her quick movement and pokes to get in and play her game. Amy is all about stacking her level ups through hitting with her roses, red roses and white roses. She has moves that will toss both, and upon hitting with one, she gains 1 count. Hitting with 4 of each rose will put her in Perception mode, which buffs aspects of her moveset. Red Rose Perception enhances Amy's offense and gives her access to new specials and strings, as well as enhanced versions of existing ones. She gains access to numerous strong pokes with AAA and 4AA, AAA catching sidesteps and 4AA being a low with incredible range. She gains access to 214A, a fast low that guard crushes and is 0 on block, making it deceptively hard to punish. 4BB is an incredible combo ender and strong mix-up tool, and 66BA is a strong punish tool. Finally, being in Red Rose Perception enhances Amarilla's Spin, which is a command dash. With all her red roses locked in, this dash travels even farther and gains numerous follow-ups, improving her already strong maneuverability. On the other side of the coin, we have White Rose Perception, which improves Amy's defense. The new attacks she gains with White Roses are dedicated to helping her fortify her defense, such as 214B, which is a massive upward slash that makes for an extremely strong whiff punish tool. She gains an extension to her 44BB, which is already a fantastic move as it has her take a big step backward to bait pokes, and being in White Rose Perception lets her get even higher damage off of it. The most important buffs she gets in White Rose mode are to her parries, which become significantly stronger with a larger window for the parry to activate and more reward on a successful parry. Note that both Rose Perception modes also enhance some of her moves in Soul Charge, a temporary install every character can use that greatly increases damage and grants new attacks. Being able to stack this with the offensive buffs from Red Rose Perception is very strong. Amy can easily increase her Rose level during combos, so it's not that hard to get her buffs stacked up. Generally, Red Rose is considered much stronger than White Rose, to the point that some Amy players will go for Red Rose Perception early and entirely ignore the White Roses. However, obtaining both White and Red Rose Perception will allow Amy to access her third and most powerful state, Purple Rose Perception. In addition to maintaining the buffs from both Rose Perception modes, she gains more powerful strings and her parries get even stronger. Purple Rose Perception Amy's parries gain the ability to ignore unblockables and break attacks, which makes her defense even harder to crack, especially with the giant amount of active frames it has thanks to White Rose. The final property of Roses is that all three modes buff Amy's critical edge, which is basically this game's super. In all modes it deals increased damage. Red Rose CE allows it to drain the opponent's meter, and White Rose CE restores her guard bar. Purple Rose Perception CE has both of these properties, but it also restores Amy's own bar. Needless to say, Amy with her roses is a beast, becoming more and more versatile offensively and defensively, and she can work the process of collecting roses very seamlessly into her game plan. Amy also maintains her rose level for the entire match, which is very good for her as matches in Soul Calibur are best of 5 rounds, so she has upwards of 5 entire rounds to stack her roses and become the powerhouse she can truly be. While some aspects of her kit are weak at the beginning of rounds, gaining Rose Perception lets her plug those weaknesses, so don't underestimate this lady just because she starts out pretty underwhelming. Adult Gohan is a character you're probably familiar with in DBFZ as he's remained rock solid and very prominent in the meta for basically the entire lifespan of the game. I think it's very appropriate for a character in a Dragon Ball fighting game to have this kind of mechanic, and while he isn't the only character with a level up system, he easily does it the best. While already strong as a base, Gohan's potential unleashed allows him to gain even more power very quickly and become an absolute menace. Gohan is primarily a close range character, boasting many strong up close options that gives him fantastic pressure and mix. That said, he does have his fair share of ways to get in quick. Wouldn't be a DBFZ character if he didn't have some way to ignore neutral and get in the opponent's face. He has a beam and a very strong ki blast he can use on the ground and in the air to pester opponents at a distance, but once he's all up in their grill he can begin to pressure and mix their shit. Gohan's 5L is a 6 frame low. Standing lows are the devil's work, and this one is -2 on block, making it a fantastic tool for stagger pressure as it specializes in opening people up, especially when combined with J2S. This is not a conventional normal. Rather than any kind of attack, it causes Gohan to perform a fast fall that zips him down to the ground in an instant. Combined with assists, it becomes insanely scary to deal with. He sports a long-reaching 5M and 2M, and his 2H is also good for mix as it's cancelable into his air machine gun kicks to extend his pressure. Besides his beam and machine gun kicks, his specials consist of a very good DP that can start touch of death combos, so don't get hit by this. Safe jump his ass or die. He also has ultimate back attack, which he primarily uses for knockdowns. As far as powering up, Gohan does this through his level 1 super, Potential Unleashed. It's one of the lowest damage supers in the game, but anytime it's used, regardless of if it hits or whiffs, Gohan will gain 1 level. He begins at level 0 and goes all the way up to level 7, slowly but surely becoming much more of a threat than he already was. Or maybe not slowly. Since Potential Unleashed is a level 1 super, you'd think you'd have to use it 7 separate times to level up fully, right? Nope! Gohan is an alternate version of the super that can be held, spinning upwards of 7 meters, the max amount you can hold, to increase the levels gained and fast track his way to level 7. This is extremely good for him as not only is meter gain fairly fast in DBFZ for most characters, but it's a team game, so it's easy for his teammates to do the heavy lifting, start a combo, and then tag him in to end it with a Potential Unleashed that will let him level up in a flash. You also give it an entire bar of meter for free once you're down to your final character, so keep that in mind. With that said, it's pretty easy to level up Gohan and gain access to his benefits, which primarily come in intervals once he reaches specific levels. Upon reaching level 1, he immediately becomes much better with improvements to all his specials. His beam does more hits and does more damage. The M version of Machine Gun Kicks travels much farther, giving it way more range, which is good as it's an excellent pressure starter with assists. The light version of his DP becomes faster, going from 9-frame startup to 7-frame startup, which is more noticeable than it sounds. This is already a terrifying DP, so having a faster version is seriously fucking scary and means you need to be very cautious when pressuring Gohan. If there are any gaps in your pressure and he sees through that and DPs, you may have just lost a character. The M and H versions cause Gohan to travel farther, increasing the range. Ultimate Backhand arguably gets the biggest buff besides his DP as it gains tracking properties. Leveled up Gohan's back fist will track opponents from anywhere on screen, making it a much more consistent combo ender. Also, his L auto combo becomes a little better and he gains access to 3L, which gives him yet another strong pressure tool that he absolutely needed. The gap between level 0 and level 1 for Gohan is quite large, and honestly, even with just one level, he becomes substantially more powerful than a lot of other characters. So everything beyond that is just sheer calamity. Upon reaching level 3, Gohan gains access to a second air dash, which lets him do stuff like double jump and then air dash, which improves his maneuverability. At level 5, Gohan is granted reverse beat. For those not in the know, reverse beat, or rebeat, is a mechanic mainly known from Melty Blood. DBFZ's Gatling system allows you to cancel normals into any other normal of higher strength. Reverse beat essentially enables the opposite, letting you cancel a heavy normal into a light normal. The reason this is so insane is because it allows Gohan to end his block strings with his 5L or 2L, which lets him reset his pressure without any resources. You can only cancel into buttons that haven't already been used in the string, so for example, you can't start and end a block string with 5L, but you can start a string with 5L and end with 2L. His 2L is 0 on block, so good luck contesting that shit, especially when he has so many other options to mix up his pressure. Finally, at level 7, Gohan's specials become cancelable into each other, opening up even more combo opportunities and pressure sequences, as well as other silly shit like making his DP safe on block without spending meter. On top of the enhancements to his specials, every level gained from 2 to 6 grants a damage boost of 2%, maxing out at 10%. I mentioned that Gohan is very strong at level 1 already, but at level 7 he becomes a fucking cartoon character. His comeback potential is near unrivaled thanks to his damage output being bolstered by the potential Unleashed buff and the buff from Limit Break, and the fact that you'll likely have enough meters stocked for at least level 5 by the time he's out. It doesn't take him that long to get ramped up, and at max level he is, to put it lightly, a beast. The fun thing about Frank West in UMVC 3 is that his power-up system ties him to his game of origin, Dead Rising. In that game, Frank can level up by killing zombies and taking photographs, and these level ups boost his attack power, health, running speed, and other attributes. It stands to reason that Capcom would bring this system to Marvel 3, where Frank was made playable, and it's quite faithful. As a base, Frank fights using all manner of tools and random objects. He's only a regular human, but he's covered wars, you know. Also, he smacks the shit out of people with baseball bats. Frank is more of a supporting character in Marvel 3 owing to his strong assists. As a base, he's pretty unremarkable, so he relies on his trusty camera to bring himself up to speed with other stronger characters. Frank's level up system is interesting because it interacts with the combo counter. Normally just there to alert you to combo length, for Frank it acts as an integral way to keep tabs on his experience. Frank's most important special is 236S Snapshot, which has Frank take a picture with this camera. The hitbox is very large and it also hits OTG. Frank gains experience every time he hits with this special. Just hitting this special by itself, you only get 1 point, but come on, we can obviously take it farther. Frank is awarded experience equal to the current amount of hits in any given combo. If you do a 5-hit combo and end it with a snapshot, you get 5 points. If you do a 20-hit combo and then snapshot, you get 20 points. Simple and clean. Frank needs 100 experience in total to reach his max potential. The amount of experience he has is not reflected anywhere on the HUD, so you'll need to keep track of that yourself, but his current level is handily displayed near his icon on the health bar. Frank starts at level 1 and can reach up to level 5, with each level offering him the benefit of upgrading his existing tools. He only gains any new tools upon reaching level 2, where he's granted the barrel roll and roundhouse kick, and level 3, where he obtains a new super. The roundhouse kick is mostly just a combo ender, but the barrel roll is pretty good as it gives him a new mobility option to take advantage of. Frank's walk speed and dash speed are quite slow and plodding, and he has no other ways of moving like air dashes, so even with plink dashing, his movement isn't great. The barrel roll only travels in one direction, so it doesn't help with the linear nature of his movement, but it does give him a much faster way to traverse the ground. Also, it's special cancelable, letting him pick up certain combo extensions from far away, and it's got some invincibility. The new super he gets at level 3 is an anti-air command throw. Besides those, level 2, 3, and 4 are all dedicated to buffing his normals. His 5M, 2M, JM, 5S, and 236X all improve with each level, going from a plunger to a broom all the way to a straight up chainsaw. Level 4 Frank's chainsaw normals are quite obscene as they sport incredible range, hit multiple times, and do tons of chip damage. The sheer reach he has with these buttons gives him some extremely strong incoming mix-ups and can make playing neutral against him very tough. At level 4, Frank is, frankly, terrifying, with insane screen covering normals and incredible damage, and he synergizes very well with lots of strong lockdown assists to give him some very difficult to block setups. The level up buffs to 236X also apply to his B assist, so that also becomes more powerful with more levels gained. Level 5 simply gives Frank a 10% increase to the damage he deals and a 10% reduction of the damage he receives, and this nice glowy white aura. Frank can level up very fast, and it's important to note that his level up progress is not incremental. He can gain multiple levels at once. If he did a 100 hit combo and then took a screenshot, he'd shoot up to level 5 in one fell swoop. This is usually done by taking multiple screenshots in one combo with assists and DHCs to get him as powerful as possible as quickly as possible. He has a special, 22S, which has him take a drink of a mystery liquid that, for 10 seconds, doubles the amount of experience he gains from a screenshot. Problem is that once the duration is over, Frank enters a vomiting animation, during which he's pretty much asking for the opponent to kill his ass, and it's really not worth it with how easy getting levels is by default. In a game like Marvel 3, it may seem hard to justify putting the work in for Frank's levels. By nature, his power-up mechanic requires him to hurt the opponent, so by the time you've got his levels up, there's a good chance you've already killed or almost killed at least one character on the enemy team. In a fast-paced game with so much absurdity like Marvel 3, a character who starts out weak might be a hard sell, but Frank justifies his spot on teams with his fantastic A assist, and the mechanics of his gimmick make him extremely stylish to boot, and deadly once he reaches max power. Most team builds for Frank will put him in the middle or anchor character to take advantage of DHCs and get him to level 3 or 4 as fast as possible. Oh, and just to mention this real quick, Frank West is also in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and his level up mechanic is too. It pretty much works the same, get points for taking screenshots based on the number of hits in a combo to upgrade your normals and shit. So by this point I've talked about numerous characters who have to fulfill one condition multiple times to unlock a series of buffs, new moves, and other benefits. Let's flip the script a bit and talk about the opposite, a character who needs to perform multiple different tasks to unlock one game-winning tool. Yoshitora is in multiple Samurai Shodown games, but the main version I want to talk about is in the latest game, Sam Show 2019. Yoshitora wields 7 swords at once, which sounds and looks cool enough to offset how impractical it probably is once you put even a modicum of thought into this combat method. Eat your heart out, Zoro. This plays into his game plan as he has lots of obnoxious multi-hitting normals. Yoshitora is a versatile character with a fairly flexible game plan that allows him to switch between maintaining his ground in neutral and going on offense. Lots of swords, lots of options. He has strong pokes like Far 5A and 5D to keep people at bay and play mid-screen neutral, but he generally prefers to be more aggressive and bully his opponents, and once he's ready to get in, he can rush down with his very strong jump-in, JC. This is an extremely large button that hits 4 times. The sheer size and disjoint of the hitbox makes this very hard to challenge for lots of characters. If you see Yoshitora in the air, he's likely going to do this move, so if you don't anti-air him before he presses it, you're in for a rough ride. Even with the slow speed, Yoshi can jump at a distance where it can be harder to swat him out of the air and still land this move as a jump-in. It's a positively crazy button, and it leads to high damage as well. His 5C also hits multiple times and sports a large hitbox, but has a way longer startup, making it a bit impractical as a poke. Yoshi's harassment with jumps is core to his game plan, and careful use of it along with some other tools can easily lead him to victory, but he has a second win condition involving his special moves. Yoshi has 7 specials in total, but the 7th one is locked behind 2 conditions. The more common one is to use Yoshi's other 6 special moves. To unlock the 7th sword, you must land a hit with each of Yoshi's special moves at least once and obtain their flowers. 236X Pink Blossom acts as a strong combo ender if you're using the light version, and a decent anti-air option for the heavy version, especially at farther distances. J236S is Tree Peonies, which hits overhead and covers a large area. You can use it as an air-to-air or a mix-up tool out of Universal Overhead. Yoshi hops into the air when performing this, and you can Kara cancel the startup into this special for a strong mix-up. It's very unsafe on block though, so be careful. 412S Camila's is a strong whiff punish tool against longer ranged pokes since it begins with a hop that has guard point, which will blow through any other attack. Use this to call out your opponent's slashes or projectiles and deliver some big damage while scoring a flower all the same. The light version of this special has much faster startup, but unfortunately it only has Yoshi do the hop, so he can't use this to progress towards the 7th sword. 214S similarly only really sees use as a punish option or combo ender depending on the version used. 623D is Moonflower, a command throw. It does okay damage and it's good to use against people who like to indulge in blocking a lot. Just be aware that it also side switches on hit. You can use the empty hop of 412L to set up some very scary strike throw mix with this command throw to score a flower. Finally, 623S is White Lilies and it's a DP, acting as his main tool to deal with pesky jumpers. If you're really hurting to land this and gain the flower, you can also use it to end combos. The game doesn't keep track of your progress with the swords, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Once Yoshitora has hit with all his specials at least once, he gains access to his wincon / fucking cheat code, the 7th sword, Fluttering Butterfly Blossom. Believe me, it's definitely worth the effort. Yeah, this is a massive, full-screen projectile that reaches to basically the entire top of the screen. Even with a double jump, it's nigh impossible to scale and avoid vertically. It does good chip damage, and on hit, you can kiss at least half your health goodbye. It all depends on how many hits of the projectile connect. With a close connect, it's damn near a TOD, so the reward for hitting it is high. This is a supremely powerful special move. Not only can it make Yoshi extremely hard to approach, but he can land it off of a counter. Counter, also known as deflect, is a universal mechanic that will work on most slashes, with different effects based on the kind that was countered. Against heavy normals, deflects will not only stagger them for a prolonged period, but also disarm the opponent. Landing a heavy deflect with Yoshi is a fucking death sentence for the opponent, because that's a free full connect Butterfly Blossom. Yoshi in general gets a lot out of hard reads, so throwing out a few deflects if your opponent is getting antsy and trying to kill you quickly when you obtain the 7th sword may very well be your ticket to victory. I joked about this move being a cheat code, and it's very strong, but it does have one particularly hard counter, which is Rage Burst. You can use Rage Burst at the cost of your Rage meter to escape a combo, and it does work against the first hit of Butterfly Blossom, so keep that in mind. More importantly, Rage Burst puts you into a temporary state of Rage Explosion, during which you can use Isen, a near full screen super that's projectile invul and does a high amount of damage depending on how much Rage meter you had when entering Rage Explosion. Given Butterfly Blossom's slow startup, opponents who are conscious and not losing their mind with panic at the giant 50-foot tall yellow wall of doom currently traveling towards them can easily use Isen to cut through it and you, so watch out. Certain projectiles and fast special moves like Hanzo and Galford's teleports can also preempt this move, so be very cautious. Besides landing his 6 specials, Yoshi can gain access to this move instantly by hitting with his super special move. Super specials are large, highly damaging attacks that take no resources but have long startup and can only be used once. It can be tough to land, but you get it for free off a deflect and you can punish certain high recovery moves with it too. The interesting thing about obtaining this special is that while he does not keep the 7th sword between rounds, he does maintain his sword progress between rounds. If you land 4 of his specials in the first round, you only need to land the remaining 2 to unlock Butterfly Blossom. It's not a bad idea at all to spend a round using most but not all of his specials so that in the round following it, you can gain the 7th sword as quickly as possible and gain access to Butterfly Blossom very early, which makes the match much harder for your opponent. While Butterfly Blossom is extremely strong and a very fun and cool alternative win condition, it is not essential at all to his game plan. Unlike pretty much every other character here, Butterfly Blossom is not imperative to winning with Yoshitora at all, so don't stress yourself out trying to land specials in the middle of a match just to fulfill the condition for the 7th sword. And thus, we reach the end of this journey. I think it's pretty cool how a lot of these characters demonstrate lots of different and unique spins on the idea of a character powering up during a match. All of them represent different gimmicks, playstyles, and spectrums of viability, but it's fun to talk about how they fit together under this specific archetypal description. I hope you all enjoyed this little romp through one of the lesser talked about kinds of characters. Thank you for watching, have a great night, and take care. Hey guys, this is the part of the video where I shout out all my YouTube channel members. Shoutouts go to Old Man Han, Triangle God, Cammy the Killer, Jazba, Mortis, Isaac the Collector, Arg Seals, Wormy, Terry Hints, Perfect Orange, and Pet Shop from Fortnite. I'm really sorry this took so long. It's been an extremely busy month for me, but hopefully things clear up from here on in. Thank you for supporting the channel, thank you for watching, have a great night, and I love you all. Take care.